My name does not matter right now. What matters is this moment. I was standing in my living room, holding something in my hands that made my whole body shake. My heart was beating so fast I thought it would break my chest. My mouth was dry. My legs felt weak. And in that moment, I realized something that changed everything. I had just found the truth about my husband, and I knew it would shake our whole family. But before I tell you what I found, please listen carefully. If you love deep, emotional stories like this, stories about family, secrets, pain, and truth, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Like this video so more people can find it. Turn on your notification bell so you never miss a powerful story like this again. And please tell me in the comments what country you are watching from, so I know where my family is watching from today. Now, let me take you back to that moment. I had always believed my husband was a good man. We were married for many years. We raised children together. We laughed together. We prayed together. We ate at the same table every day. I trusted him with my whole heart. Or at least, I thought I did. That day started like any other day. The house was quiet. The children were not home. The sun was coming in through the window, lighting up the living room. Everything looked peaceful. But peace can be a lie. I was cleaning when I heard his phone vibrate on the table. I did not plan to touch it. I truly did not. I believed in trust. I believed in respect. But the phone kept vibrating. Again. And again. Something inside me felt wrong. I told myself, just look. Just see who it is. When I picked up the phone, my hands started shaking. The screen was unlocked. And that was when I saw it. A message. Just one message. But that message changed my life forever. I read it once. Then I read it again. Then I felt my chest tighten. It was not a normal message. It was not a joke. It was not work. It was a message that proved my husband had been hiding something big from me. Something dark. Something that did not just involve him. It involved our family. I whispered to myself, no, this cannot be true. But the words were right there. Clear. Cold. Real. I felt like the ground was moving under my feet. In my head, I heard my husband's voice from all the times he told me, trust me. I remembered the nights he came home late. The times he avoided my eyes. The times he got angry for no reason. All of it suddenly made sense. I sat down slowly on the couch, still holding the phone. My heart was breaking, but my mind was racing. How long has this been going on? How could he do this? How could he lie to me for so many years? I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to throw the phone against the wall. But I did none of those things. Instead, I kept reading. And the more I read, the worse it got. This was not just a small secret. This was not just a mistake. This was something that could destroy our marriage and tear our family apart. I looked around the living room. The same room where we celebrated birthdays. The same room where we comforted our children when they cried. The same room where we said prayers together. And now, this room felt cold. I heard the front door open. My husband was home. My heart jumped. I felt fear and anger at the same time. I quickly locked the phone and placed it back on the table. I did not know what to say. I did not know what to do. He walked in like nothing was wrong. He smiled at me and said, "You're quiet today." I forced a smile back. "I'm just tired." He nodded and walked away, trusting that I knew nothing. But I knew everything. Or at least, I knew enough to know my life was about to change. That night, I could not sleep. My husband slept next to me, breathing calmly, while my eyes stayed open in the dark. I kept asking myself one question over and over again. Should I confront him? Or should I wait? Because what I found was not something you talk about lightly. It was something that could destroy trust forever. The next morning, I made a decision. I would not say anything yet. I needed to be sure. I needed to understand the full truth. And I needed to protect my children. But little did I know. The truth I found was only the beginning. Because once you start pulling at a hidden thread, the whole fabric begins to tear. And very soon, my husband would realize that his secret was no longer safe. And when that moment comes, nothing in our family will ever be the same again. I did not confront my husband that morning. I smiled. I cooked breakfast. I acted normal. But inside me, everything was breaking. When he sat at the table, eating like nothing had happened, I watched him closely. Every small movement now meant something. Every word felt heavy. He looked at me and said, "You didn't sleep well." I nodded. "Just thinking." "About what?" he asked. "Life," I said quickly. He accepted that answer too easily. That made my heart hurt even more. After he left the house, I stood by the window and watched him drive away. The moment his car disappeared, my legs gave up. I sat on the floor and cried silently. Not loud cries. The kind that stays inside your chest and burns. I kept seeing that message in my head. The words. The meaning. The lie behind them. I asked myself again and again, how did I not see this? But when you love someone, you trust them. You explain away their strange behavior. You believe their excuses. That day, I decided I would not rush. I needed proof. I needed understanding. And most of all, I needed strength. Later in the afternoon, I went back to the phone. My hands were shaking again. I opened it carefully, like it might explode. I read old messages. I looked at call logs. I searched for names I did not recognize. And what I found made my stomach turn. This was not new. This secret had been growing for years, right under my nose. I covered my mouth so I would not scream. There were dates. There were plans. There were promises made behind my back. Promises that should have belonged to me. I felt stupid. Used. Betrayed. At one point, I whispered out loud, "Why?" No one answered. That evening, the children came home. Their laughter filled the house, and for a moment, I felt relief. They did not know anything. Their world was still safe. I had to keep it that way. My husband came home later, smiling, joking, acting like the same man I married. But now, I was seeing him with new eyes. That night at dinner, he told a story and laughed. Everyone laughed with him. I laughed too. But inside, I was screaming. After dinner, when the children went to their rooms, my husband sat next to me on the couch. He put his arm around me. That simple touch made my skin crawl. "You've been distant," he said softly. "Did I do something wrong?" For a second, I almost told him everything. But instead, I shook my head. "Just tired." He kissed my forehead. "Get some rest." That kiss felt like a lie. When we went to bed, I turned my back to him. I stared at the wall, listening to his breathing. My mind kept asking one dangerous question. What if the truth is worse than I think? The next day, I did something I never thought I would do. I followed him. I told myself it was just to clear my doubts. Just to confirm what I already suspected. I waited until he left, then took my bag and followed at a distance. My heart was pounding the whole time. He did not go where he said he was going. Instead, he turned into a place that made my hands go cold. I parked far away and watched. Minutes passed. Then I saw him step out of his car. And then, I saw someone else walk toward him. Someone familiar. My breath caught in my throat. I could not believe my eyes. No, not this person, I thought. My hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the steering wheel. This was not just betrayal anymore. This was something that reached deep into our family. I stayed there, frozen, watching them talk, laugh, and walk inside together. In that moment, something inside me changed. I was no longer just a wife who was hurt. I was a woman who needed answers. And I knew now that when this truth finally came out, it would not just hurt me. It would shake the whole family. I drove home in silence, my mind spinning. That night, my husband asked, "Is everything okay?" I looked at him and said, "Soon. Everything will be clear." He frowned. "What do you mean?" I smiled softly. "Nothing." But deep inside, I knew the storm was coming. And when it finally broke, no one would be ready for it. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together. The way they stood close. The way they laughed like they shared a secret. A secret I was never meant to know. I kept turning in bed, my heart heavy, my head full of questions. My husband slept beside me, calm and peaceful, like a man with nothing to hide. That made it worse. I wondered how someone could lie so well, sleep so well, while destroying another person's heart. When morning came, I felt tired before the day even started. I got up quietly and went to the kitchen. I made breakfast, packed lunches, and smiled at my children like everything was fine. They talked about school, about friends, about small problems that felt so big to them. I listened. I nodded. I laughed when I was supposed to. But inside me, a storm was growing. When my husband came into the kitchen, I felt my chest tighten. He kissed my cheek and said, "Good morning." I said it back. Our eyes met for a second, and I wondered if he could see the truth in mine. I wondered if he could feel how close I was to breaking. But he looked away, picked up his keys, and said, "I'll be late tonight." That sentence hit me like a slap. "Late?" I asked calmly. "Yes," he said. "Work stuff." Work. That word now sounded like a lie all by itself. I watched him leave, my hands clenched tight on the kitchen counter. The moment the door closed, I let out a long breath. I knew I could not ignore this anymore. I needed to know everything. Later that day, after the house was quiet again, I went to the bedroom and opened a drawer I had not touched in years. Inside were old papers, files, and envelopes. Things we kept, just in case. I did not even know what I was looking for. But something told me to keep searching. I checked documents, bank papers, old letters. Then I saw it. An envelope with a name I did not expect. My heart skipped. Slowly, I opened it. Inside were papers that made my hands tremble. Papers that showed money moving in ways I did not understand. Dates that did not match the stories I had been told. I sat on the bed, reading again and again, hoping I was wrong. But I was not. This was not just about feelings. This was not just about trust. This involved money, secrets, decisions made without me. I felt sick. I remembered the times he told me we could not afford certain things. The times I said no to myself so our family could be safe. Now I was seeing another truth. That afternoon, I called someone I trusted. Someone who had known us for years. I tried to sound normal, but my voice shook. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Of course," they replied. "What's wrong?" I paused. Then I asked carefully, "Has my husband ever talked to you about plans? Big plans?" There was silence on the other end. Too much silence. Finally, the person said, "Why are you asking?" That was when I knew. People knew things I did not. My heart dropped. "I just wanted to be sure," I said quickly. "Never mind." But after I hung up, my hands were cold. That evening, my husband came home late, just like he said. He looked tired, but not guilty. He ate dinner, watched television, and talked about small things. I watched him the whole time. Every word he spoke felt fake now. When we went to bed, I finally asked, "Do you think secrets always come out?" He turned toward me, surprised. "Why would you ask that?" "I was just thinking," I said. "Sometimes the truth waits, but it always shows itself." He laughed softly. You think too much. Then he turned away and closed his eyes. But I stayed awake. Because I was done being quiet. The next day, I made a decision that scared me. I went somewhere I never thought I would go. I asked questions I never thought I would ask. And with every answer, the truth grew bigger, darker, heavier. By the time I got home, my hands were shaking again. I stood in the doorway of my house, knowing one thing for sure. The man I married was not the man I thought I knew. And the truth I was uncovering was no longer just about betrayal. It was about choices that could destroy everything we built. That night, as my husband sat across from me, smiling like always, I realized something terrifying. He had no idea how close I was to exposing him. And when I finally did, the explosion would reach every corner of our family. But what I discovered next was even worse than anything I had imagined. After everything I had discovered, the house no longer felt like home. The walls looked the same. The furniture was the same. The pictures on the wall still showed smiling faces from better days. But to me, everything felt different. Heavy. Quiet in a dangerous way. It felt like the house itself was holding its breath. I walked through each room slowly, touching things we had shared for years. The couch where we watched movies. The table where we ate as a family. The bedroom where I once felt safe. Now, every place carried a question. How long has he been lying to me here? That morning, I did not speak much. I made breakfast again, but the food had no taste. My children talked, laughed, and argued over small things. I watched them closely. They were innocent. They did not know their family was standing on broken ground. My husband came in, acting normal, like always. He joked with the children, checked his phone, and drank his coffee. I noticed something new. He kept checking his phone more than usual. Not just looking. Hiding it. Turning it face down. My chest tightened. I said nothing. When he left the house, I followed him again, but not with my car this time. I followed him with my mind. Every excuse he had ever given me came back, one by one. Work is stressful. You worry too much. Trust me. Those words now felt cruel. Later that day, I sat alone in the living room and thought about everything I had learned so far. The messages. The money. The familiar face I had seen with him. That was the part that hurt the most. If it had been a stranger, maybe I could have handled it better. But this person was someone close. Someone who knew me. Someone who smiled at me. Someone who had looked me in the eyes and acted like nothing was wrong. My heart felt like it was being slowly crushed. I stood up suddenly. I could not just sit and wait anymore. I needed clarity. I needed to hear something with my own ears. That afternoon, I made a phone call I had been avoiding. My hands shook as I dialed the number. When the voice answered, my throat went dry. "Hello," they said. "It's me," I replied softly. There was a pause. "Oh, hello," the voice said, careful and tense. I took a deep breath. "I need to ask you something. And I need you to be honest with me." Another pause. "I don't know what you mean," they said. "Yes, you do," I replied. My voice was calm, but my heart was racing. "I've seen things. I know more than you think." Silence. Long, heavy, dangerous silence. Then the voice said quietly, "You should talk to your husband." That sentence felt like a knife. "So it's true," I whispered. "I didn't say that," they replied quickly. "You didn't have to," I said. "Your silence already did." The call ended shortly after that. I sat there, staring at my phone, feeling numb. That phone call changed something inside me. Before, I was hurt and confused. Now, I was angry. Not screaming angry. The kind of anger that goes cold. That evening, my husband came home earlier than usual. He seemed nervous. I noticed it right away. He kept clearing his throat. He avoided my eyes. He asked too many questions. Are you okay? He asked me. Yes, I said simply. You seem quiet. I'm thinking, I replied. About what? I looked at him and said, about how well we really know the people we live with. His face changed for just 1 second. Just one. But I saw it. Fear. He laughed after that. You always think too deep. I smiled back. Maybe I finally started thinking clearly. That night, after the children went to bed, he sat next to me on the couch. He took my hand. That touch no longer comforted me. Have I ever given you a reason not to trust me? He asked. I looked at his face, the face I had loved for so many years. I wanted to scream the truth. Instead, I asked quietly, is there anything you need to tell me? His hand tightened around mine. No, he said quickly. Why? I nodded slowly. Okay. But inside me, a voice was screaming. He is lying. Again. Later that night, I went to bed before him. I pretended to sleep when he finally came in. I felt him lie beside me. I felt him turn toward me. I felt his hand rest on my back. And I felt something else too. Fear. Because I knew something he did not know. I knew the truth was already slipping out of his control. And I also knew this. The next thing I uncovered would force me to make a choice. A choice that would change my marriage, change my children's lives, and possibly destroy the family forever. As I lay there in the dark, my phone buzzed softly under my pillow. One message. From an unknown number. It said, you need to stop digging. For your own good. My heart nearly stopped beating. I stared at the message, my hands shaking. Because now I understood something terrifying. This secret was bigger than I thought. And someone was scared that I was getting too close. I stared at the message for a long time. You need to stop digging. For your own good. The words felt heavy, like they were pressing down on my chest. My heart was beating so fast I could hear it in my ears. My hands trembled as I locked my phone and slid it back under the pillow. I lay still in the dark, listening. My husband was asleep beside me. His breathing was slow and steady, like a man with no worries. Like a man who had not just threatened his own wife without knowing it. Or worse, maybe he did know. I asked myself a question that made my skin go cold. Was that message from him? I turned slightly, careful not to wake him. I studied his face in the dark. He looked peaceful, calm, innocent. But I had learned something important in the last few days. Looks can lie. That night, I barely slept. Every small sound made me jump. Every shadow felt too close. My mind kept replaying the message again and again. They were scared. Someone was scared. And that meant I was close to something they did not want me to see. When morning came, I felt like I had not slept at all. My eyes were heavy, but my mind was sharp. Too sharp. I got out of bed quietly and went to the kitchen. I needed air. I needed space. I needed to think. As I poured myself a glass of water, my phone buzzed again. My heart stopped for a second. I checked it. Nothing. Just a normal notification. I let out a slow breath, but my hands were still shaking. When the children came into the kitchen, I forced a smile. I asked about school. I packed their bags. I hugged them longer than usual. They looked at me strangely. Are you okay? One of them asked. Yes, I said quickly. I'm fine. But I was not fine. Not even close. My husband came in, dressed and ready for the day. He kissed my cheek like always. But this time, I did not feel comfort. I felt watched. He looked at me closely. Did you sleep well? Yes, I lied. He nodded slowly, like he was trying to read my face. Everything okay? He asked again. Yes, I repeated. He smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. After everyone left the house, I locked the door and leaned against it. My legs felt weak. That message had crossed a line. Before, this was about lies and betrayal. Now, it was about fear. I sat down with my phone and looked at the message again. The number was unfamiliar. No name. No picture. Just a warning. I thought about replying. Who are you? Why are you threatening me? What are you hiding? But I did not send anything. Instead, I did something else. I started writing everything down. Dates, times, names, messages, places. If something happened to me, I wanted the truth to survive. As I wrote, I noticed something strange. The timing of everything fit together too well. The late nights. The missing money. The familiar face I had seen with him. And now, the threat. This was not just a secret. This was something planned. That afternoon, I left the house and went somewhere quiet. Somewhere I could think without fear of being overheard. I sat alone and asked myself the hardest question yet. What if the truth puts my children in danger? The thought made me feel sick. I loved my children more than anything. If staying silent kept them safe, could I live with that? But then another thought came. What if staying silent makes things worse? That night, my husband came home late again. Later than usual. He was tense. I could see it in his shoulders. In the way he moved. In the way he avoided my eyes. We ate dinner in silence. Finally, he spoke. "You've been acting strange," he said. "Did someone say something to you?" My heart skipped. "No," I said carefully. "Why?" He studied my face. "Just asking." I looked straight at him. "Are you?" He frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean," I said slowly, "is there anything you're worried I might find out?" The room went very quiet. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he laughed. Too loudly. "You're imagining things," he said. "You always do this when you're stressed." I nodded. Maybe. But inside I knew. He was afraid. Later that night, when he was in the shower, I did something dangerous. I checked his phone again. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I searched through his messages quickly. Then I saw it. A conversation I had never seen before. Short. Careful. Coded. But clear enough. They were talking about me. About my questions. About my silence. About how things were getting risky. My chest felt tight. I could hardly breathe. Before I could read more, I heard the shower turn off. I locked the phone and put it back just in time. When my husband came into the room, he looked at me strangely. "Why are you shaking?" he asked. "I'm cold," I said. He nodded, but I could see it in his eyes. He did not believe me. That night, as I lay awake again, one thought burned in my mind. The truth was no longer just hidden. It was dangerous. And if I did not act soon, someone else might act first. Just as I was drifting into a restless sleep, my phone buzzed again. Another message. This one was shorter. More direct. It said, "Next time, we won't warn you." My breath caught in my throat. Because now I knew for sure. This was no longer just my husband's secret. And whatever the truth was, it was big enough to scare the wrong people. I did not scream. I did not cry. I just stared at the message until my eyes burned. "Next time, we won't warn you." Those words felt final. Like a door had closed behind me. There was no going back now. I deleted the message, then felt a sudden rush of fear. What if I needed it later? My hands shook as I checked the trash folder. It was still there. I took screenshots. I saved them somewhere hidden. Then I deleted everything again. I lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. This was no longer about trust. This was about survival. When morning came, I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. My eyes were tired. My face looked older, harder. But there was something else there too. Determination. I knew one thing for sure now. I could not fight this alone. That morning, I made a decision I had been avoiding. I would tell someone. Not everything. Not yet. But enough. After the children left for school, I told my husband I needed to run some errands. He nodded, distracted, his eyes glued to his phone. That alone told me everything. I went somewhere quiet and safe. Somewhere I could speak freely. When I sat down, my heart was racing. I took a deep breath and began. I need help, I said. The person across from me looked concerned. What kind of help? I think my husband is involved in something dangerous, I said slowly. And I think I might be in danger too. They leaned forward. What makes you think that? I told them part of the truth. Not the names. Not the full story. Just enough to be taken seriously. When I showed them the screenshots, their face changed. This is serious, they said quietly. Hearing those words made everything feel real. They advised me to be careful. To not confront anyone. To keep records of everything. And then they said something that made my stomach drop. You need to think about your children. I nodded. I had not stopped thinking about them. On my way home, I felt like someone was watching me. Every car behind me felt too close. Every stranger felt like a threat. I kept checking my mirrors. When I finally got home, I locked the doors and sat on the couch, trying to breathe. That afternoon, my husband called me. "Where are you?" he asked. "At home," I replied. "You sound strange." "I'm just tired." There was a pause. Then he said, "We need to talk tonight." My heart jumped. "About what?" I asked. "Us," he said. "Things feel off." "Okay," I replied calmly. But my hands were shaking again. That evening felt longer than any other. When he came home, he did not smile. He did not joke. He sat across from me and sighed. "I feel like you don't trust me anymore," he said. I looked at him and thought about the messages. The threats. The lies. "You're right," I said softly. "I don't." His eyes widened. "Why?" he asked quickly. I leaned forward. "Because secrets don't stay hidden forever." His face went pale. "Who have you talked to?" he asked. That question told me everything. "Why does it matter?" I asked. He stood up suddenly. "Because you don't understand what you're getting into." There it was. The truth hiding in his fear. "I understand enough," I said. "And I want the truth. All of it." He stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. "You should stop asking questions," he said quietly. "Why?" I asked. "Because you're scared." "No," he replied. "Because you could get hurt." The room felt cold. "Is that a threat?" I asked. He shook his head. "It's a warning." I stood up too. "I've already received warnings." His eyes widened again. "What warnings?" he asked. I watched him carefully. "I know about the messages," I said. "I know people are watching me." Silence. Pure silence. Then he whispered, "You shouldn't have found out." Those words cut deeper than any knife. "So it's true," I said. He closed his eyes. In that moment, everything became clear. The lies. The fear. The danger. He opened his eyes and looked at me with something I had never seen before. Regret. "I was trying to protect us," he said. "By lying to me?" I asked. "By putting our family at risk?" He did not answer. That was answer enough. That night, I did not sleep in our bed. I locked myself in the children's room, listening to every sound. Because I knew something now. I had crossed a line. I had reached the point of no return. And whatever came next, would change everything forever. I stayed in the children's room all night. I barely slept. Every sound made my heart jump. The house felt strange, like it was no longer mine. Like I was a guest in my own life. When morning came, I heard my husband moving around the house. Cabinets opened. The door closed. His footsteps stopped outside the children's room for a moment. I held my breath. Then he walked away. I waited until I was sure he had left before I came out. The house was quiet again. Too quiet. I sat on the couch, hugging my knees, thinking about everything that had happened. The messages. The warnings. The look on his face when I told him I knew. One thing was clear now. He was not just lying to me anymore. He was afraid. That afternoon, he came home earlier than usual. He stood in the doorway for a long time, just looking at me. "We need to talk," he said. I nodded slowly. "Yes. We do." We sat across from each other, the space between us feeling like a deep hole. He rubbed his hands together, nervous. "I never wanted you to find out this way," he said. I folded my arms. "Then you should have told me the truth." He sighed deeply. "It's complicated." "No," I said firmly. "Lies are complicated. Truth is simple. Start talking." He looked down at the floor for a long time. Then he spoke. "It started years ago," he said. "At first, it was just helping someone. Just small things." "Helping who?" I asked. He hesitated. "Someone close to the family," he said. My chest tightened. "The same person I saw you with?" He nodded. My heart sank. "They were in trouble," he continued. "They needed money. They needed connections. I thought I could fix it." "So you lied to me," I said. "You hid money. You met in secret." "Yes," he admitted quietly. "And the messages?" I asked. "The threats?" He swallowed hard. "That wasn't supposed to happen," he said. "Things went too far." "How far?" I asked. He looked at me, his eyes full of fear. "Far enough that people don't like loose ends," he said. My blood ran cold. "Loose ends like me?" I asked. He did not answer. That silence felt louder than a scream. "You put me in danger," I said slowly. "You put our children in danger." "I was trying to protect the family," he said, his voice breaking. "If I told you, you would have stopped me." "Yes," I said. "Because it was wrong." He stood up and started pacing. "You don't understand," he said. "Once you're in, you can't just walk away." I stood up too. "Then why didn't you stop before it got this bad?" He stopped pacing and looked at me. "Because I was scared," he said. "Scared of losing everything." I laughed bitterly. "You're losing everything anyway." He looked hurt, but I did not care anymore. "Who else knows?" I asked. "Too many people," he said. "That's not an answer," I replied. He took a deep breath. "People with power." That word stayed in the air. Power. That evening, I packed a small bag for myself and the children. Just essentials. Clothes. Documents. Things I could grab fast. My husband watched me silently. "Where are you going?" he asked. "Somewhere safe," I said. "You can't just leave," he said. "Yes, I can," I replied. "And I will." He stepped closer. "If you leave now, they'll know you're scared." I looked him straight in the eyes. "I am scared. And I'm done pretending I'm not." He reached for my arm. I pulled away. "Don't touch me," I said. For the first time, he looked small. That night, I told the children we were going to visit someone for a while. I smiled so they would not be afraid. But inside, my heart was breaking. As I zipped the bag closed, my phone buzzed again. A new message. This one made my knees weak. It said, "We know you talked to him. This is your last chance." I looked up slowly. My husband was standing in the doorway, staring at me. And in his eyes, I saw something terrifying. He already knew. Because before I could say a word, he spoke. He looked at me for a long time before he spoke. "I warned you," my husband said quietly. Those words felt heavier than the threats on my phone. I held the device tightly in my hand. My heart was beating so fast it hurt. "Warned me about what?" I asked, even though I already knew. "About digging," he replied. "About asking questions. So the messages are from your people?" I asked. He did not answer right away. He rubbed his face with his hands like a tired man who had lost control of everything. "They're not my people," he finally said. "They're people I can't control anymore." That was not comforting. I stepped back slowly. "You let strangers threaten your wife?" His voice cracked. "I never thought they would contact you directly." "But they did," I said. "Twice." He nodded, ashamed. "That means things are worse than I thought." My legs felt weak. I sat down on the edge of the bed. "Tell me everything," I said. "Now. No more half-truths." He took a deep breath and sat across from me. "It started with money," he said. "Someone close to the family made a mistake. A big one. They owed the wrong people." I closed my eyes. "And you tried to fix it?" "Yes," he said. "I thought I could pay it off quietly. Move money around. Keep you and the kids out of it." "But you didn't," I said. "You pulled us into it." "I didn't mean to," he whispered. I laughed, but there was no joy in it. "That doesn't matter anymore." He leaned forward. "They're watching us now." My chest tightened. "How do you know?" "Because they've been watching me for a long time," he said. "And now they think you know too much." "I do know too much," I said. "And that's your fault." He nodded slowly. The room felt small, like the walls were closing in. I looked at the door, thinking about the children in their room, laughing softly, unaware that their world was breaking. "What do they want?" I asked. "Control," he said. "Silence. Obedience. And if we don't give it?" I asked. He looked away. "That's when things get ugly," he said. Fear wrapped itself around my heart. "I'm taking the children," I said firmly. "We're leaving tonight." He shook his head. "That will make it worse. So staying here is safer?" I asked sharply. "No," he admitted. "But leaving suddenly will scare them." "They already scare me," I replied. I stood up and went to the closet, pulling out the bag I had packed earlier. My hands moved fast now. "I won't wait for something bad to happen," I said. "I won't." He stood in the doorway. "If you leave, they'll think you're running." "I am running," I said. "From lies. From danger. From you." That hurt him. I could see it. "I never wanted to hurt you," he said. "You already did," I replied. Over and over. Just then, my phone rang. Not a message. A call. Unknown number. My heart nearly stopped. We both stared at the phone as it rang again. And again. "Don't answer it," my husband said quickly. But something inside me snapped. I pressed the answer button. "Hello," I said, my voice shaking. A calm voice spoke on the other end. "You're making things difficult," the voice said. My blood went cold. "Who is this?" I asked. "You know why we're calling," the voice replied. "Your husband was supposed to keep you quiet." I looked at my husband. His face was pale. "I didn't agree to this," I said. "You don't need to agree," the voice said calmly. "You just need to cooperate." "And if I don't?" I asked. There was a short pause. "Then your family will pay the price," the voice said. I felt like I could not breathe. "Don't threaten my children," I said, my voice breaking. "We don't make threats," the voice replied. "We make plans." The call ended. I dropped the phone. My husband grabbed his hair with both hands. "This is bad," he whispered. I stared at him, tears running down my face. "You brought this into our home," I said. "You brought fear to our children." "I was trying to save us," he said. "You destroyed us," I replied. Just then, I heard a knock at the front door. One slow knock. Then another. My heart jumped into my throat. My husband looked toward the door, frozen. "Did you expect someone?" I asked. He shook his head slowly. The knocking came again. Louder this time. The children's laughter stopped. "Mama," one of them called from their room. I wiped my tears quickly and forced my voice to stay calm. "Stay where you are," I said loudly. "Everything is okay." But it was not okay. Not at all. I walked slowly toward the door, my heart pounding with every step. My husband followed me, whispering, "Don't open it." The knocking turned into pounding. Whoever was outside was not patient. I reached the door and looked through the small window. What I saw made my knees weak. Because standing there was someone I recognized. Someone I never expected to see at my door. And I knew, in that moment, there was no escaping the truth anymore. My hand froze on the door handle. Through the small window, I could see their face clearly now. Someone I knew. Someone who had eaten at my table. Someone who had laughed with my children. Someone who had looked me in the eyes and asked me how I was doing. My knees felt weak. I turned slowly to look at my husband. He did not ask who it was. He already knew. His face told me everything. "Don't open it," he whispered again. But it was too late. They knocked again, harder this time. "Open the door," a voice called out. Calm, confident, familiar. My children's door opened slightly. "Mama, who is that?" a small voice asked. My heart broke. "Go back to your room," I said quickly. "Lock the door. Please." They hesitated. "Now," I said firmly. I waited until I heard the door close again. Then I took a deep breath and opened the front door. They smiled when they saw me. A smile I had trusted for years. "Good evening," they said politely. "We need to talk." My husband stepped forward. "This isn't a good time." They looked past him and into the house. "It is the perfect time," they said calmly. "Before things get worse." I crossed my arms, trying to steady myself. "You've already made things worse." They raised an eyebrow. "I warned you not to dig." "So the messages were from you," I said. They nodded. "We hoped words would be enough." "Enough for what?" I asked. "To scare me into silence." "To protect the family," they replied smoothly. I laughed bitterly. "You don't know the meaning of that word." They stepped inside without waiting for permission. My heart raced. "Get out," I said. They ignored me and looked around the living room. Still the same house. Same pictures. Same lies. My husband shouted, "Leave now." They turned to him, their smile fading. "You're in no position to give orders." The room felt cold. I realized something terrifying then. They were not afraid. Not of me. Not of my husband. Not of consequences. "Why are you really here?" I asked. They looked at me carefully. "Because you're asking the wrong questions." "I'm asking the truth," I said. "And the truth is dangerous," they replied. "You don't want it." "I already have it," I said. "And I won't stay quiet." Their eyes hardened. "You don't understand what you're standing against," they said. "I understand enough," I replied. "You used my husband. You used our family. And now you want to control me." They smiled again, but this time, there was no warmth in it. "Control is a strong word," they said. "Let's call it cooperation." "I will never cooperate with you," I said. They sighed. "That's disappointing." My husband stepped between us. "She's done." We're done. They looked at him slowly. You don't get to decide that anymore. Then they turned back to me. You have two choices, they said. Stay quiet, play your role, and your family stays safe. And the second? I asked. Their voice dropped lower. Keep fighting, and learn how expensive the truth can be. I felt tears burn my eyes, but I did not let them fall. You think fear will control me, I said. But you made one mistake. Oh, they replied. You underestimated a mother, I said, and what she will do to protect her children. For a moment, I thought I saw doubt in their eyes. Just for a second. Then it was gone. They stepped back toward the door. Think carefully, they said. We'll be in touch. As they left, they paused and added one last sentence that made my blood run cold. You should check what your husband hasn't told you yet. The door closed. Silence filled the house. I turned slowly to my husband. What haven't you told me? I asked. He did not answer. He just looked at the floor. My heart sank. Because I knew then. There was still another truth. And it was the most dangerous one of all. The silence between us felt heavier than any shout. What haven't you told me? I asked again, my voice shaking. My husband still would not look at me. I stepped closer. Look at me, I said. After everything, you still want to hide? Slowly, he lifted his head. His eyes were full of shame. There's something worse, he said quietly. My heart dropped. Worse than threats? I asked. Worse than strangers walking into our home? Yes, he whispered. Because this part destroys everything. I felt dizzy. I held onto the table to steady myself. Say it, I said. I deserve the full truth. He took a deep breath. The person who came here tonight, he said, wasn't just helping collect money. I swallowed hard. Then what were they doing? They were protecting something, he replied. Protecting what? I asked. He hesitated, then said the words that shattered me completely. They were protecting me. My knees buckled. I sat down hard on the chair. Protecting you, from what? I asked. He looked away again. From the law. The room spun. What did you do? I whispered. His voice cracked. Years ago, I signed papers I shouldn't have signed. I moved money I shouldn't have moved. I covered things up for people I shouldn't have trusted. My chest felt tight. So all this time, it wasn't just about helping someone else. No, he admitted. I was protecting myself. Tears filled my eyes. So you used our family as a shield, I said. You let strangers threaten me. You let our children be watched. Just to save yourself. I thought I could control it, he said. I thought if I kept everything quiet, it would disappear. But it didn't, I said. It grew. He nodded slowly. And now, they own the truth. I covered my mouth, trying not to scream. This was it. This was the truth about my husband. Not just lies. Not just betrayal. But choices that put our entire family in danger. I stood up, feeling something break inside me. Our marriage is over, I said calmly. He looked up, shocked. Please, we can fix this. No, I replied. Some things don't get fixed. They get exposed. I walked past him and opened the children's room door. They were sitting quietly, scared, pretending to be brave. I knelt in front of them and held them close. We're going to be okay, I said softly. I promise. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I meant it. That night, I made the hardest decision of my life. I chose truth over silence. Protection over fear. My children over my husband. The next days were painful. Questions were asked. Lines were crossed. The family was shaken, just like I knew it would be. But one thing changed forever. I was no longer afraid. Because once the truth is out, it no longer controls you. And that is how I found the truth about my husband. And yes, it shook our whole family. If this story touched you, please like this video so more people can hear stories like this. Subscribe to the channel for more emotional, powerful, and real-life inspired stories. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next episode. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in my place? Your voice matters.